In the misty twilight of Indonesian and Malaysian villages, when darkness begins to claim the land, but night has not yet fully descended, there exists a moment of transition when the veil between worlds grows thin. It is during this fragile hour that villagers hurry home, avert their eyes from lonely roads, and whisper prayers of protection. For this is when she emerges. I speak of the Kuntilanak, a young woman with long, flowing black hair that cascades down her white funeral dress. Her skin holds an unnatural pallor, yet her features remain hauntingly perfect. Her belly swells with the unmistakable roundness of late pregnancy, a silent testament to the life that never came to be. But those who approach this solitary figure quickly discover the horror that beauty conceals. As she raises her face, her features transform, eyes hollow and burning with spectral light, mouth stretching impossibly wide to reveal needle-sharp teeth. Most terrifying of all is what becomes visible when she turns, a gaping, ragged hole in her back, revealing the empty cavity where her spine and organs should be, a void that seems to draw in light itself. The Kuntilanak's origins lie in profound tragedy. In life, she was a woman who died while pregnant, either during childbirth or through violence. Some accounts speak of women who perished from the complications of delivery, their last moments filled with the anguish of never seeing their child's face. Others tell of more sinister ends, pregnant women murdered by jealous husbands, abandoned by lovers, or victims of assault who died with their unborn children still within them. This unnatural, unjust end creates a spirit consumed by the grief of maternal loss and the rage of betrayal. Unable to fulfill her destiny as a mother, unable to complete the natural cycle of birth, she becomes trapped between worlds, neither fully dead nor truly at peace. What makes the Kuntilanak uniquely terrifying is her method of luring victims. From the shadows of banana groves or the darkness beneath stilted houses, she mimics the crying of an infant, sometimes soft and mewling, other times desperate and piercing. This sound, emanating from places where no child could possibly be, triggers a primal response in those who hear it. The cry activates deep-seated protective instincts, drawing the compassionate toward its source, despite the rational mind's warnings. Men who fathered children only to abandon their pregnant partners are said to be particularly vulnerable to this lure, as if some cosmic justice recognizes their debt. Young fathers-to-be, nervous about their impending responsibilities, might also find themselves unnaturally drawn to the sound. And women near childbirth themselves report hearing the cries with greater clarity than others, as if their approaching maternal state creates a sympathetic connection to the Kuntilanak's eternal sorrow. As her victim approaches the source of the crying, the Kuntilanak reveals herself gradually. First, the sound stops abruptly, replaced by unnatural silence. Then comes the scent, a cloying mixture of floral fragrance, often frangipani or jasmine, intertwined with the unmistakable metallic odor of blood. Finally, she appears, initially with her back turned, allowing just enough time for the victim to register a human figure before revealing her true nature. Her attack is swift and terrible. With inhuman speed, she seizes her victim, her nails elongating into claws that tear through flesh with horrific ease. Unlike other predatory spirits that feed on blood or life essence, the Kuntilanak seeks something more specific. She attempts to extract the victim's internal organs, particularly focusing on the reproductive organs of men or the wombs of women. This grotesque harvesting mirrors her own emptiness, as if by collecting these parts she might somehow reconstruct what was taken from her. Those fortunate enough to survive an encounter report a sensation of profound cold that persists for months afterward. Nightmares featuring infants crying from inaccessible places, and in some cases unexplained infertility, as if the Kuntilanak's touch leaves a lasting claim upon one's reproductive future. The Kuntilanak makes her home in places that mirror her liminal existence. Boundaries between settled areas and wilderness, flowering trees near cemeteries, abandoned wells, and most notably, banana trees. These plants hold special significance in Indonesian and Malaysian folklore, their soft trunks resembling human flesh and their nature of dying after bearing fruit once eerily parallel to her own fate of perishing after conception, but before birth. Protection against the kuntilanak has evolved through generations of terrifying encounters. Iron nails are considered particularly effective. Driving a nail into the hole in her back is said to neutralize her power, transforming her temporarily into a beautiful, ordinary woman. Religious invocations provide another defense. In predominantly Muslim areas, reciting the azan is believed to drive her away, as are specific verses from the Quran that speak of protection and banishment of evil. Modern interpretations see the kuntilanak as a powerful cultural expression of anxiety surrounding childbirth in eras when maternal mortality was devastatingly common. She embodies the unresolved grief of communities who regularly lost mothers during what should have been a life-giving process. Yet in rural areas across Indonesia, Malaysia and Singapore, belief in the kuntilanak transcends metaphor. Pregnant women still wear special amulets for protection. Houses near cemeteries or fruit groves display specific symbols above doors and windows. Perhaps most disturbing are modern adaptations of the kuntilanak to urban environments. In cities like Jakarta, Singapore and Kuala Lumpur, she is said to haunt hospital maternity wards, particularly rooms where women have died during childbirth. Some apartment complexes built over former cemeteries or kampongs report unusually high rates of miscarriage. So tonight, should you find yourself in Southeast Asia and hear the unmistakable sound of a baby crying from an empty alley or a darkened park, if you catch the mingled scent of flowers and blood on a breeze that shouldn't exist, if you glimpse a slender woman in white with her back turned toward you, remember the kuntilanak. Do not approach, no matter how compelling the infant's cries become, for she embodies our most primal fears that the miracle of birth can transform into tragedy, that maternal love can twist into eternal hunger, and that some losses are so profound they create echoes that never truly fade from our world.